Welcome to another Emii Creations Artist Alley vlog. This time we'll be going over Emerald City Comic Con in 2023, which happened from March 2nd to March 5th. And we'll be going over their new move to the newly built Summit Convention Center in Seattle, Washington. Hey guys, I am prepping for Emerald City Comic Con. Since the booth is a 10 by 10, I'm doing things a little differently than what I used to do. So here's the restock. They're all hung up in these individual organizers. So the plushies have an organizer, the socks have one, the stickers have one. And basically I roll it up and then you'll see how they're set up when we go to the actual show. And then here's the rest of the packing progress. So my carry-on, I'm actually getting 3 luggages. One is my golf bag and then those 2, the usual. So just trying to figure out how everything is gonna pack and restocking and all that. I'm basically almost done with my packing. I'm just checking the weight of everything because I am flying to Seattle for this one. But let me give you a luggage tour. So per usual, some of my grid tier displays are under the tablecloth, and these fold out into little baskets, which you'll see where I put them. And then this is the sample plush and lanyards. This is just a slipper I always bring. And then my personal clothes goes on top of that. And these are my grid displays that hold up my banner. And this is sample t-shirts and sample socks. And we have the second luggage. This one has all my t-shirts and then my banners. And then in between, there are some of the tier displays just to distribute the weight better. These are pretty heavy and the wood is pretty heavy. And this is more of my clothes just to distribute weight. These are the lanyards. They're kind of wrapped up in there. And these are the socks. They're also pretty wrapped up in there. And my personal toiletries, which always needs to get checked because there's a lot of liquid in that. And this does close up, even though it kind of doesn't look like it. But that is luggage number 2. This is luggage number 3, technically a golf bag that I just shove shit in. And it mainly carries my backdrop display. And see, it's pretty long. It actually takes up most of the golf bag, and it's pretty heavy too. And then I have my backdrop, which is this pretty cloud drape, and these are my plushies, which are pretty light, so I put that in there. And here I have my sign clips, and that's basically all that's in here. So that's how the golf bag looks. And then last but not least, this is my carry-on. Because my check-in luggages have 50-pound weight limits, I and most people tend to put all the heavy stuff in our carry-on to save weight in the checked ones. So you'll see on this side underneath, this is my stickers. These are like 3-inch stickers in organizers. Zip ties. I always advise people bring a surge protector to help you charge everything at night. And then I have my merch bags, some business cards, and these are the connectors for the cubes. And then here is basically all my paper stuff, greeting cards, sticker sheets, 3-inch sticker display ones. And this one is a toolbox that has like tape, hooks, and anything needed to set up the booth. And this is for my iPads, an iPad stand. It's also pretty heavy. And here I have some bike locks, some display stuff. And this is my barcode scanner. All right, everything is packed. Checklist is checked off. And we're ready to go to Seattle. Made it to, where are we? Seattle. We made it to Seattle and we're waiting for luggage. We made it with all our crazy luggages. There's Q struggling. We're gonna get our ticket and then go downstairs and set up. So while I'm setting up my booth, let me go through details about Emerald City Comic Con because this year in particular, there's a lot of changes and a lot to cover. So first of all, as a disclaimer, I am in the Exhibitor Hall. Most of my videos, I'm in Artist Alley, and I know it's listed under my Artist Alley vlogs, but I do have a good reason for this. And I will still be covering and showing footage of both halls and giving advice and feedback for both halls towards the end of the video. So this video will hopefully be helpful for both Artist Alley and Exhibitor vendors. Now, Emerald City Comic Con happened on March 2nd to March 5th, 2023. This is a 4-day con, so day 1 will be on Thursday, and we're setting up on Wednesday. This year, they moved everything to the new Summit Convention Center in Seattle, which is only 2 blocks away from the old Seattle Convention Center that most people are more accustomed to. Now, I'll be going over in more depth about the layout, why they moved, what I think of the move, and other fun details about the new building later in the video. But first, I do want to explain Artist Alley and Exhibitor in the process of getting in for Emerald City Comic Con. So their Artist Alley application opened this year, early November. It opens for around 2 weeks before they close it, and they will let you know when they close it, so you do have a little bit of time to apply. It is a juried show that has a heavy desire and emphasis on comic webtoon industry work and look. This means their jury process not only looks at the quality of your work, but also takes into account if you worked in the comic industry, what type of art you make, whether or not you've been to their other events, and whether or not your overall art fits the vibe of the event. And when I say other event, I mean Repop, the organizer for Emerald City Comic Con, also organizes several other large events, including New York Comic Con, C2E2 in Chicago, EGX in the UK, Florida SuperCon, PAX, and others. It's important to note that Repop Artist Alleys all require mainly print and art sales. This means you're not allowed to bring any merchandise like keychains, apparels, or accessories. Stickers, greeting cards, and prints and books are okay. And this is why I'm an exhibitor at most Repop events. I can bring and emphasize more of my merchandise like my keychains, and I get to re-sign up for next year's event at the end of the con as an exhibitor, which does allow me to plan my schedule in advance much easier. Exhibitor applications specifically are usually always open on their website. They let people in based off availability. I suggest applying every year if you want to be an exhibitor until you get in because it gets your name in there and recognized. Or you can try to share a booth like me and my friend do most of the time, and they will let you apply for next year at the event even if you're a shared booth, for example. Like I mentioned, we did set up on Wednesday. I did not use the freight or drive my car, so I didn't need any services to bring my stuff in. So we essentially came from the front door. The specific intersection is 9th and Pine. And I used the elevator to get our luggages downstairs. If you're alone or if you're in Artist Alley, this year they had the sign-ups on the 2nd floor, which is the same floor as Artist Alley. So you do have to go to the 2nd floor to get your badge first, and then go downstairs to Exhibitor Hall, which is in the basement floor. All done for setup day. Here's the final look. So now that we got all the con introductions out of the way, let me start with some personal problems I encountered at this particular show. First, my booth was placed facing an empty wall, which was horrible. I've been trying to get them to move us the moment I found out with multiple emails, and it was always a resounding no. Now, it is better to be against the wall or to have booths against the wall instead of facing an empty wall because honestly, no one knew we were back here. So it was definitely a huge issue for us, and we did end up convincing the sales staff after running around multiple times to let us move to a new location at the end of Friday. So for Saturday and Sunday, you will see our new location. But yeah, this footage just shows how little traffic there was back here for both Thursday and Friday. All the vendors in this row were super sad, and most of them did end up moving like we did at the end of Friday because it was so bad. So now that you know what happened to me personally Thursday and Friday, basically they were super slow. I did get to walk through the building Friday morning, and I'm going to give my thoughts on the new Summit Convention Center in Seattle while I'm going through it. So essentially, you'll either love it or you'll hate it, depending on if you're an Artist Alley or Exhibitor. Artist Alley people overall loved it. Exhibitor people overall hated it. So let me explain. The new building has 5 floors. The main entrance is on the first floor, and the Exhibitor, Artist Alley, VIP entrance is on the second floor. What a lot of people don't realize is there's actually a basement floor. In fact, I've encountered multiple attendees that didn't actually know there's a basement floor until either at the end of the day or Sunday. Now, this is a problem because most of the exhibitors were on the basement floor. In fact, 90% of the exhibitors were there. Before we continue, the reason Emerald City Comic Con moved to the new building because they were actually able to utilize all 5 floors in the Summit building. And this is a big deal because in the past, in the old Seattle Convention Center, a lot of their stuff had to be moved into hotels. So for example, if you had a panel, you'll probably have to walk to a neighboring hotel and then walk back to the main convention for the exhibit and Artist Alley floor. So very disjointed. So this new building, they were able to compact everything in one building. So this is great for staff, organization, and the attendees, since you don't have to leave the building essentially. But the only people that probably got the short end of the stick were the exhibitors. So how do people not realize there was a basement floor for exhibitors? Well, first of all, people usually attribute to the lowest level of a building as 1. Makes sense. So when you enter from the first floor, you assume the only way is up, and up people went. And then second, there were no clear signs. The only signs that existed were these long menus that had listed what was happening on each floor, and for some reason, Exhibitor Hall was at the very bottom in very tiny words. And then third, there was actually some exhibitors in the Artist Alley Hall. You'll see the Artist Alley was divided by Artist Alley on the right, Exhibitor in the middle, and then voice actors on the left. So if you didn't know any better, which most people didn't because it's a new building and a new layout, you would assume that both Exhibitor and Artist Alley existed on the second floor together. I know this because a lot of attendees mentioned this was exactly what they assumed, and a lot of people had to verbally spread the word that there was actually a basement. So what does this mean? This meant that Artist Alley was booming. It was pretty packed most of the time, and most of the days. It also meant it was kind of like a ghost town in Exhibit Hall for most of the con, which is not normal for this size con. Now, this isn't exactly a con problem or Emerald City Comic Con problem. There are parts that it was their problem where the signage was not really good, but they did try to fix it on Sunday, which you'll see in some of the footage. This was more of a building problem. If you see my elevator footage, the elevator clearly states having the basement marked for Exhibitor Hall, which meant it was built with that intention. They also thought the building windows, which were just these cutouts on the first floor that looked down into the exhibit hall, would help people get interested in going down. However, Emerald City Comic Con had their security checks right next to these windows, and people were really focused on filtering through security and not really looking around. So just as a disclaimer, some of the footage I shot of me walking in with the crowd from the first floor from the main entrance was shot on Sunday. So they did put up signs showing where the exhibitor hall was and where the escalator was to the exhibitor hall on Sunday morning. So props to them for figuring out that is a problem, but those signs were not there the first 3 days. So hopefully in the future they will have better signs. Seems they are moving in that direction for the next event. But just want to make that clear in case there were any confusion. And then at the very end of this footage, you'll see where our new booth location ended up being, which is much closer to the front and the doors, which was awesome. Saturday! Saturday! So Saturday was definitely busier than the first 2 days as expected, and all of the clips you will see of the traffic is Saturday traffic in the exhibitor hall. With that being said, Artist Alley was still way busier. Sadly, I didn't get clips of that, but just as what people have been telling me, it was still way crowded up there than it was in the exhibitor hall, so take that with a grain of salt. So overall, here's my 2 cents on Emerald City Comic Con as we're walking around the hall looking at the traffic in these clips. Back in 2019, everybody recorded record sales. In fact, a lot of my friends reported it being their top 4 cons in the US. However, they've had some difficult years since COVID, where they had to move dates to winter in 2021 and 2022. And now that they were back on schedule, we're in a new location, which has a lot of logistic and staffing issues, which did really affect the success of their exhibitors for 2023. However, Emerald City Comic Con is backed by a very experienced parent company, Repop. They have a good track record under their belt, experience with big cons, and although there are some serious growing pains this year that they will need to address, most of us vendors are kind of rolling with the punches. We knew the move would be difficult, and the ones that essentially survive are hoping next year will be better. So here's my thoughts for people considering vending. If you're in Artist Alley or looking into Artist Alley for Emerald City Comic Con, this is going to be a great show. Hey, you're on the 2nd floor. That's already a strong start off. Show up with a strong portfolio, be aware of their print-only rule, and 100% yes, try it out. People fly from all over the country for this show, and it's usually worth it. However, if you're looking at exhibitor space, look at it with a little bit of caution. They're still trying to figure out what to do with the exhibitor basement issue, whether it be better size or moving more exhibitors to the 2nd floor. I say it is still worth traveling, but keep your costs down. Avoid freight if at all possible. Share lodging, share booth space, staff less, anything that keeps costs down to like a mid-size level con, whatever that may mean for your company. Also, keep close in touch with your rep. Try to get good spots, ideally on the 2nd floor. So they don't really allow you to choose your booth position now from what they've told me, but I'm still hoping they take requests into consideration. In the past, you can actually pay for a premium spot, which just costs more money in a better location, but I'm actually not sure if they're doing that for the new building. But it definitely doesn't hurt to ask, so ask about premium spots, ask about upgrades, ask about the 2nd floor. Like, everything is still in consideration and moving around and changing. So it's definitely worth an ask, because if they are allowing premium spots, it is going to be worth the price for this particular con. Another quick note, they really changed the booths so if you're under 300 square foot, basically 1 or 2 booths, you only get 1 table and 2 chairs. In the past, we got 2 tables, or if you're a corner, you get an extra table, so you can get up to 3 tables. This is not the case anymore, so just be aware of that and check your booth packages to make sure you have the expected number of tables or the correct number of tables that you are expecting at your booth, because there was a lot of table theft this year. Like, people were just stealing other people's tables. It was really weird. So just make a note of that if you're in the exhibit hall. And also note that there is 0 cell service in the basement, but they are giving vendors free Wi-Fi access. So you do not have to pay for Wi-Fi, but there is no service. So that's good and bad, I guess. But as always, if you have any other questions that I didn't touch upon, or you want more clarification about this event in particular, feel free to comment below. I will try to answer all your questions and comments. Sunday traffic was pretty decent, but per usual, I don't really like filming Sundays, so here I am just breaking down the booth and some other chaos afterward. Hey guys, since we are not going home Sunday night, we're going home Monday morning. I had to drag my luggages 2 blocks to the hotel, which doesn't seem like far, but with these guys, it was very hard work. So I had my personal bag pulling this guy, and then I had these 2 strapped, and it kind of worked. I kind of had to stop a lot, but we finally made it. So we are repacking our suitcases so we can try to get 1 less suitcase so we don't have to pay the suitcase fee. And I think there's chaos going on over there.
I just solved everything.
But thank you so much for following along. This concludes our Emerald City Comic Con Artist Alley / Exhibitor vlog. I hope this was informative or enjoyable for you to watch. And if you do like our vlogs or videos, be sure to like, subscribe, click the alert bell. I have many other cons coming up, and I will be trying to do a vlog of every single one.